Hello everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by to my channel. My name is Ethan. Make sure to check out my website, ethanwrenn.com. From there you can find links to all my various socials. We are currently live on Twitch, YouTube, and the front page of my website, so make sure to follow or subscribe if you'd like to get notified when we go live next. What is the next symbol we're going to be looking at today? Well, it's actually a stock, not an ETF, and it is CarMax, CarMax Inc., symbol KMX, KMX. And before we get into anything, right next to the symbol up here in the top left, you will see an M. This M means every candle represented by this chart represents 1 month of time, not a week, not a day, not an hour, a month of time. It's important to keep in mind your time frames so that you can get a general idea of how long it might take for some of these patterns to play out. And every symbol up to this point in the video was a weekly chart. So I want to emphasize this is a monthly chart. So what are some of the things that we like about CarMax? Well, let's first jump into their income statements year over year. As you can see, in 2017, they had a profit margin of 3.88%. In 2018, they had a profit margin of 4.64%. 2019, they had a profit margin of 4.37%. In 2020, they had a profit margin of 3.94%. And in 2021, they had a profit margin of 3.61%. But another thing I want to emphasize is while their profit margin seems to stay about the same, they are profitable. Do not discredit them. There are a lot of companies whose name gets thrown around and they aren't even profitable. This one is. The next thing you want to be looking at is the revenue. Revenue is represented by the blue line on this bar chart here. And as you can see, it is growing with the exception of 2020. It is growing, and with 2021 being one of their best years ever. So the amount of money they are generating is growing. So that is one thing we like to see. What else do we like to see in a symbol such as CarMax? Well, something we talk about in every video here on this channel would be the RSI. Every time the RSI is low and nearing that 30 territory, that is typically a sign that the symbol is oversold or potentially a good value. Meanwhile, on the contrary, the RSI is high in the sky and is touching maybe this 70 zone right here, go directly down. That's typically a sign that it's overbought or potentially overvalued, right? And again, we're looking at monthly time frames, not 5 minutes, not hourly time frames where the RSI is up, down all the time. Again, this is a monthly time frame, and the power of the indicators kind of works in. So an indicator flashing something like an oversold RSI on a monthly would be very influential over the weekly, over the daily, over the 4 hour, over the 1 hour. All of those smaller time frames kind of become subservient to what's happening on the bigger time frames, which in this case is the monthly. So the time prior, where the RSI was as low as it is currently, would be April 2020. And what happened in CarMax? Well, CarMax proceeded to run as much as 282%. A time prior to that, when the RSI was as low as it is currently, would be December 2018. RSI touched down at that 30 and then proceeded to run as much as 1,400%, relatively uninterrupted. And then lastly, the time before that, water guys. Time before that would be January of the year 2000. RSI came down, touched the 30, and this was not too long after their initial IPO. Followed the same trajectory as you might expect from all IPOs in modern era, where they sold off heavily, but then eventually found the appropriate price for the company, which is simultaneously when the RSI bottomed out, and then they proceeded to run as much as 10,000%. Massive. If only we could have been in that. Get $10,000 for every dollar I put in there. Yeah. If only. Okay, and something you might have noticed as I went through and covered every time that the RSI was bouncing off that 30 support was an interaction with the blue 180 monthly moving average. Again, this is not the weekly. This blue line represents the 180 monthly moving average. And as you can see, in the year 2020, right as the RSI was bottoming out, there was a bounce directly on top of the monthly 180 moving average. Same can be said for right here in year 2008. Came down, RSI touched at the bottom, and I know this blue line does not extend all the way through here, but it goes right through here 110%. When symbols don't have a ton of price history, this will sometimes happen where the moving averages will not go all the way to the end. That's normal for this platform that I'm using, which is TradingView. Trying to explain it, but indeed, right as the RSI was bottoming out, there was a bounce off the monthly 180 moving average. And if we look at the current price of CarMax, the price is currently sitting on top of the blue 180 moving average with an oversold RSI. So assuming that everything that has happened prior in this symbol for the past 20 years continues to hold true, you would expect to see a bounce off of that 180 monthly moving average and continued growth. Now, where are we currently projecting symbol KMX to go moving forward? Right now, just measuring from its current price to its previous all-time high, to its just going from there, that is a potential gain of as much as 176%. That is huge, very huge. Now, do we think it could go higher than that? I do feel like it could go higher than that, but it's going to take time. And I want to emphasize that just from its current price point to its previous all-time high, that would be a 176% gain, putting the price per share at $156.92. We covered their financials, they're profitable, and they have growing revenues. We covered the monthly 180 moving average and how it acts as a support. And we covered how monthly time frames, the indicators, the technicals on monthly time frames, tends to reign supreme over any of the smaller time frames, from the hourly, from the 15. So with that being said, that's just about everything I need to say with CarMax Inc. We could move into our next symbol. Just give me one moment, guys.